This is Morten from English TV. We are back in Sofingen, and this time we are actually together with our friends from Hunkeler. And for those who might have forgotten about this, Hunkeler was acquired by Møller Martini almost half a year ago. So of course it's quite interesting to be here because it's a Møller Martini location, but I'm here with Hans. Hans?
Good to see you, Martin.
Good to see you too. In a later film today, we're going to talk a little bit about the changes in Hunkeler and Møller Martini, but let's talk technology today, right?
Sounds good.
I can't help think about it because I know that you and we have been talking about earlier that, of course, you are the masters of web-based finishing and processing, right? Now we are in front of a machine that is entirely new, that is about cut sheet finishing for the book market. What is this, and what are the challenges when you have cut sheet compared to roll-based?
Yes. Well, first of all, I'm very proud that we can actually launch here today for Drupa a new member of the Starbook family that we introduced at Innovation Days last year. And the new machine is called Starbook Sheet Folder. As the name says, sheet folder, it basically does not start from the web. It starts from sheets and folds basically sheets into signatures to make a book block.
Is that a market that is growing? Because I mean, I also remember that you and I spoke some years ago that maybe the development of inkjet has been a little bit slower than first anticipated, but it seems really to take off now. So is this a product of that technology development on the printing side, or is it more like the let's say the people that are doing books today, they need the diversity of both cut sheet and web?
I think it's both. The enhancement of the inkjet technology has really allowed actually that we can do now more type of end products on inkjet. For example, photo books. Who would have thought that photo books could be printed on inkjet, on coated media, and the development on the inkjet side for continuous feed, but now also for cut sheet, has been such that these high-end products like photo books, like commercial print application, flyers, and so on, are now also possible on cut sheet. The solution here in the back is really a solution for the book of one market, starting from sheets. And sheets have really the advantage, or sheet fed systems have the advantage that they have much higher media flexibility than a web has, because changing a web is a bit more involved than just drawing sheets from different drawers in a cut sheet printer.
But I think that must also, from a development perspective, be a little bit of a challenge that you have to change media all the time and be ready for it, basically, right?
That's right, but Hunkeler has, of course, a lot of experience from the website. Right. For example, we have introduced a product called Sheet Folder, where we basically took a web, cut it into sheets, and then folded these sheets. But now, of course, the challenge was really to make a system that is capable of handling offset coated media. And with these systems, we are, for example, able to produce book blocks with different media, where, for example, the black and white printed sheets are a regular uncoated paper, and then, for example, the color pages in the middle can be an offset coated media, and the system can handle and do the changeover on the fly, fully automated, for different formats. For example, what I show here, going really from A5 books to A4 book blocks, fully automated, non-stop, in line with a press. Here we have it nearline, but of course the system is capable of running in line with various different cut sheet printers.
Fantastic. I can't help think about, because when I was writing about Hunkeler's anniversary last year, I can't help think about, because at that time, you know, I was like relatively young in the industry and thought that Hunkeler was only continuous feed, but you have actually a long history starting in cut sheets, and then there was like a period of time where it was mainly web-based, and then you were basically back to both both types of feeding, right?
That's exactly right. Of course, Hunkeler, we have a history of doing web finishing for offset printed webs and then sheet finishing for offset printed sheets. Then we moved more, of course, toward digital printing, starting already 40 years ago, but 20 years ago,
wow, okay.
Hunkeler has basically transitioned the business completely to digital print finishing, starting with web. And now it's the time where our portfolio of sheet finishing solution is growing again, because we clearly see that the installation of B3 and B2 size digital printers is growing much faster than the installation of continuous feed inkjet printers.
Okay, so this is also a question of making sure that you have the right finishing technologies, because the print OEMs are now delivering cut sheet versions, basically.
Very much so. Okay. I mean, we have a lot of customers that have continuous feed, and based on the same inkjet technology, they now also start installing really cut sheet devices, because they have more media flexibility with cut sheet devices than on webs. And of course, we want a customer give the opportunity to use the same technology that they already know from continuous feed.
That means that you must know before the rest of us when new technology is about to come, because you need to have the products finished when they are ready, right?
That's important, absolutely.
I want to be part of those meetings so I can get the news first. So Hans, let's take a look at the machine. Let's start here at the beginning, right?
Yep.
You say B3, SRA3, B2. So is this machine for both formats, or do you buy machines different according to your needs, or?
So the machine, the base machine today as we release it is really for B3 format. So meaning if we have sheets that are coming off a press SRA3, we can actually have SRA3 sheets that we fold in 4-page signatures into A4 books, or we are capable of cutting an SRA3 sheet into half and then fold it into A5 book.
And since the machine, we will see that in a moment, but since it can turn the paper, you're still ensuring the right fiber direction, right?
Yes, exactly. Of course, on cut sheet, we have the capability of drawing paper from different drawers, and with that also ensure that we have the right grain direction for a high-end book. That could be a color book or a photo book, where things like that are especially important, of course.
And when you put the paper in here, it seems like a relatively simple way. And as you said, it can be nearline or offline or online, basically.
Exactly.
Right?
I mean, the sheet feeder, as we see here, where we have can actually add the stacks here on a cart, put them in. That's of course for nearline configuration. Of course, the system is designed and already has been tested successfully in line with cut sheet printers for inline configuration. Okay. We can feed short edge feeding or long edge feeding, so really depending on the format and what the end product needs to be.
And that, of course, also makes it easy to convert that into being a B2 format, because basically, if you have the different feeding, then basically you have the B3 format, B2 format, right?
That's then something which we will do for the future. As we see, the in-feed is already pretty big, so it's a little bit too big for a B3 size sheet. So there will be more in the future.
But you know, that is one of the problems with the press. We see new equipment, we're already asking about the next one, right? But that is unfair. But I mean, this is wonderful to see. So Hans, after feeding, we spoke a little bit about, is that a camera or what is that?
This is basically a data matrix reader which just reads the code that is printed on the sheet. And basically tells the machine how to process it. So when a sheet arrives,
so it could be format change, or it could
format change, okay. For example, but then also ensure, of course, the tracking to make sure that the right signatures are being
the sequence is right,
collated together for a book.
Okay.
And of course, the system is completely variable in terms of page count. So every book can be a different format and different page count for really book of one production.
Fantastic. And I can see that you have a bin below there. So I guess that you can reject pages that are not in sequence, right?
Exactly. We can, of course, reject sheets that are have been rejected for some reason, that are not in sequence or whatever it may be, because we want to make sure that only good book blocks at the end are being transferred then, for example, into a perfect binder.
Before we take a look inside the machine, you were just pushing to this one. I think it's pretty neat to have the control.
Exactly. Of course, for operators, it's always nice and to have a large screen to be able to operate the machine, because everybody is used to telephones and big screens, and that's what we also adapted here on that machine, and it can be moved very easily, of course, all the way along, so that the operator has access to the different areas of the machine without having the panel in the way and still have it close by.
And I guess that when you have this user front end here, now you have like this. This is the SF8 module here, and you have the Starbook BD8 over there, right? But that basically means also that if you are used to work with Hunkeler equipment already, you are familiar with the user interface, right?
Exactly. Of course. Even that here is a new base, because we have a much larger screen that also allows, of course, the operator, for example, to give, when there an error is coming up, it tells him immediately, okay, where is the error? It gives animations and shows him how to resolve the issue. So really taking care of the larger screen that the machine has now.
And of course also then help for, let's say, when a printing company may have difficulties finding educated labor, now you make it easier for them, basically. Right?
That's very essential nowadays, of course, that it takes less time to really educate the operators, because the machine tells the operator really what to do, and not that the operator needs to know first or needs to go through an extensive education process first before they can operate the machine.
Can it be opened, or is it a closed? Can you open the machine, Hans?
Of course. So the machine has large opening for big, easy accessibility.
Yeah. And you said that, let's just get, so we have the data matrix.
We have the data matrix reader, which really reads the data matrix code that is printed on each sheet. Then here we have actually a light bar or a light grid.
So that one is a light bar, basically.
What that does, it's actually a scanner.
It's a scanner, okay.
Because what we see, of course, is that different paper shrinks differently depending on
print technology, right?
Print technology.
Yeah. So you can
and what we can do with that, we basically measure every sheet, and we adjust the machine on the fly automatically to sheet shrinking. That allows actually that the signatures are always folded or perforated first, and then folded exactly in the middle, based on the sheet size that we read and see.
So that basically means that if, let's say that you're working on a toner-based machine where you have a heating applied to it, which can basically influence the substrate, then basically this actually corrects, so you still have a finished product that is aligned with what a professional would require.
Exactly. What we also see is, of course, when you do a mixed book production with different media, so you have, for example, light coverage on a uncoated media, and then you switch really on the fly to an offset coated media for full color pictures and so on. The paper shrinks differently, and we adjust for that automatically by really measuring the sheets in width and in length to adjust for it, and then at the end to really get perfectly straight, flat and square book blocks, which are essential for softcover and especially for hardcover book production.
Also something that you're known for, right?
That's exactly right. I mean, we pride ourselves of having the best book block quality in the market. which we feel is important to get a good end product.
So what happens after the scanner? So now we get into that section here, right?
Correct. Now it depends.
Should I hold this and you can explain a little bit about...
Yes.
Yeah.
So we have basically an alignment section, and that section also has something which is unique. We have the center rollers here that are capable of rotating the sheet 90 degrees.
So that is where it changes according to fiber and grain direction, basically.
That's correct.
Or size, basically.
It's a sheet rotator that stops the sheet for a millisecond, turn it, and then we move on with the sheet.
And how fast is this? Because, I mean, produces quite a lot of... it has a high output volume, right?
That's right. I mean, the system basically runs up to 9,700 sheets per hour.
Wow.
Depending, of course, on the format size, but SRA3, short edge feeding, it's 9,700 sheets an hour.
So I would say even for those who produces B2 inkjet printers today, they still have a little time to get to that speed, right?
That's right.
That's right. Fantastic. Then we come into, it looks like something that is a cutter.
This is a guillotine cutter, exactly. Yeah. So if we have an SRA3 sheet that is arriving and we want to make an A5 book, then we basically cut the sheet into half. And for that we have a guillotine cutter here that cuts the sheet into half before then going into aligning, perforating and folding section.
And then is...
this is then again an aligning section.
So that is again to make sure that the cutted and a paper is aligned with the rest what is going on.
Exactly. It's very important, of course, that the sheets that we then cut are separated and aligned again so that we can prepare them for perfectly center perforation.
And then where you have these strings or what it is, or bars there, that is just the transportation from to get it into the next...
This is the alignment section.
This is the alignment, okay.
For the signatures, or actually for the sheets. And then this is the section where we perforate then the sheet in the middle for folding.
And the reason why we perforate is, of course, to get the air out of the folded sheets, right?
Exactly. The perforation, of course, helps to fold the sheets much easier over.
Of course,
and it also ensures actually that all the air gets out to actually get these really compact, flat signatures for perfectly straight, square, and flat book blocks.
What we like.
Yes.
And then we come into the end of this new machine here, right?
Yes, this is also a new section. It is actually derived a little bit from the fly folder that Hunkeler has had for a while, but of course now really improved for cut sheet production. We have a vacuum transport belt to transport the sheets, so there's really no rubbing anywhere. And then we fold the sheets basically over on that specialty coated folding
guide. So it's a special coated for making sure that it goes as
that we absolutely have no scratches or scuffs on any paper, no matter if it's an offset uncoated or an offset coated paper.
And then it comes into something that looks at... Oh, we have something more to talk about here?
We have a pressing station then where after the signature is being folded, we basically flatten and make sure that the signature is completely folded and pressed.
And then you still have the vacuum belt taking it into the BD8, right?
That's right. The BD8 is the same machine, a little bit scaled down, that we use on the Starbook plow folder line. Here it's a 2-star wheel configuration only because of the lower speed. Because on the Starbook plow folder we run up to 250 meters per minute. Here we run maybe 100, 120 meters is the effective speed for the 9,700 sheets, depending on the format.
So when we come into this part of it, maybe you just go ahead of me and tell me what is...
So this is already an updated book delivery compared to the one that we have shown at Innovation Days.
Because it looks quite similar to it, right?
It looks pretty much the same. but has some improvements in terms of the sheet transport.
Yeah.
Because now we have all the way vacuum transport.
Yeah, because if you have roll base, basically it drags it right
yes,
through the machine.
Exactly.
Right?
And here we have more precise signature transport with these new vacuum belts.
Yeah. So
the gluing.
Sorry to just to understand it. So what happens is basically now we have the sheets cut into, let's say, a 4-page signature, basically, right?
Correct.
And now you want to be sure that you gather the book block to the number of signatures you need for the finished product.
That's
like
right.
this one, right?
Correct.
And then you say there's a gluing station there, or?
Correct. We basically glue the 4-page signatures together. So we have these 4-page folded signatures that we now glue together with dots.
And that glue is for the only purpose for that is basically to make sure that the book block is kept together in this book
That's
block
exactly
thing.
right, because most of that is then milled off in the perfect binder, so you don't see that in the finished book. These dot glues are really just there to hold the signatures together and make basically a pre-glued book block.
So when
we
you
have the gluing unit in here.
Okay,
it's
so
of
that's
course
easy to access, basically.
we can switch automatically from one glue tank to another, so that one can be filled up while the other one is operation. So it's really for high production, non-stop operation. We also have 2 glue heads up here in that area that we can switch from one to the other also automatically. If one tank is empty, it switches on the fly to the second glue tank and glue head.
And then the signatures come in here in the top. Maybe can we see that?
The signatures then are basically can run across the top, and depending then, first they go into the first star wheel section, and if the book block has been built, then we basically transfer them to the second station.
So the reason why you have 2 is basically to make sure that when one is filled up, the next one takes over, empty this one, and then it can be switched between the 2.
Exactly, that's exactly right.
Okay.
So what we do is we build basically with the star wheel, we build these book blocks with signatures.
So that is the star wheel that basically collate this, or?
Correct, it's a star wheel where we collate and chalk the signatures into that book block. Once it's being built, we basically move it back into the pressing station where we press the book block. That's also nobody else is basically doing, that we press each book block for a few seconds, and then when it's done, it goes down to the lower level for exiting the machine.
Okay.
And everything is designed in such a way that we always have first in, first out production, because that's of course very important then to match then the book block with the cover in the perfect binder.
So Hans, when we see a machine like this, it seems like very automated, but of course still it also seems very open. So in case that you have like paper stop or something like that, it's very accessible, right?
That's exactly the way. It's very easy accessible in such a way.
But just keep this on this side here, so he can.
that we actually can also move the machine, for example, very easily back for servicing and so on.
Oh, that's smart.
So that all these inner parts are really easy accessible for an operator or for service technician in case there should be a jam or something.
Wow.
That's why
that was a surprise. I was afraid that it would fall down, right? But
no.
So, just a quick question. These modules, are they the exact same modules that you have for the plow folder, so you can have some kind of serial production of it, or?
They are exactly the same modules that we also use for the Starbook plow folder unit, which are then much higher rated, correct.
Fantastic. So is there anything, I mean, because I like that you get them pressured and you have them delivered on the conveyors. Is there anything else that we should know about how this works at the current time, or?
What is really kind of unique on these solutions, I have to I mean, here.
It's a heavy steel, right?
Yes, it's heavy duty built.
I mean, when you see all these things, I have no idea how you can even do this, right?
I think what makes it unique of the book delivery is that it can be built in different configuration depending on the speed you need. That particular configuration with 2 stacking units is capable of exceeding 1,000 stacks or single books an hour. Wow. If it is in a 3 stack configuration, it's 2,000 books or stacks per hour.
But it's also smart because that basically means that as the printing machines get faster and faster, you can basically extend with the number of units, basically, right?
That's exactly right. Of course, it can be upgraded with a central unit to be expanded to a 3-stacker configuration. However, on sheet-fed base, this is not necessary because there are no sheet-fed printers that are that fast
yet, Hans.
Correct.
Yes, you have to be. You have to understand. Of course, you know what is going to happen the next 10, 15 years, right? No, maybe not.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
When the blocks have been built, they are basically coming down here on the exit level, they're coming out. Here we have then a sequencing module, which allows basically that each book block is being separated individually and sequenced with a certain gap in between.
Okay, so that means that, for example, if you have inline binding and it can take a certain quantity per minute or whatever, then you can basically keep them a little bit off each other. Is that not?
Yes. Okay. The main reason why we doing it that way or have this sequencing unit is then that module here, because in that module, when the book block comes out, depending on the perfect binder that is being attached, we have to basically change the book orientation to fit to the binder. So this module is basically a turning module. And we need, of course, some space so we can sequence these book blocks that are coming out. So the next one could be different, this one, a different size,
you can different
thickness, and so on. And this is the turning module, the book block turner, which allows us then to orient the book block so that it matches the need of the perfect binder. In this configuration here, the pre-glued side needs to go into the perfect binder first, for example.
And talking about, because I mean, here we have a solution that is still under being set up with a Vario binder, right? But it could have been a BQ500 from Horizon. It could have been any binder, basically. Right?
It could be any perfect binder that, first of all, can take variable book block sizes and can be connected to an inline conveyor system, correct?
And talking about, because I mean, after you were acquired by Møller Mazzini, I mean, I know that Hunkeler has always been very close to Horizon. Has that changed now with that? But I mean, I'm asking because I see this wonderful thing, and we know our friends from Japan, they have always been also specialized in this kind of binding technology based on sheets and book blocks. So how is that going on now?
I think it's very important to understand that Hunkeler stays Hunkeler. It is our DNA and a big part of our business to cooperate not only with digital printer partners, but also with different finishing partners. So our relationships with post-finishing partners like Møller Mazzini, Horizon, Meccanotecnica, IBIS, Honor, and many other companies will remain because it's an important business of Hunkeler, and we have long-standing partnerships with these companies, and they're gonna remain. Or, as we can see at Drupa, we will actually see also other new developments that we have made with other partners and gonna showcase together at Drupa.
I think also there's another advantage, and that is, of course, that customers, when they buy technology from you, now they can basically take what they like and still not, limit both your sales and everybody else's sales. So this is about also the letting the customers make the choices that fits their businesses, right?
That's exactly right. I mean, customers have long-standing relationship with many different post-finishing partners, and I think it's our goal and our objective to help them to accomplish the solutions with the partner of their choice.
Fantastic. Hans, thank you very much for your walkthrough. That was amazing.
Thank you very much.
And congratulations.
New one, right? Thank you. Yes, indeed.